Hello and welcome to Saints Live. I'm Steve Forbes, and it's the third match in 7 days for Southampton as Ralph and his men travel to Molineux to take on Wolves in the Premier League this afternoon. Fans may also get the chance to see a new face or two following transfer deadline day. However, two faces who we couldn't seem to find a new buyer for are former Saints captain Dean Hammond and NBC's lead soccer writer Joe Prince. Right, gentlemen, I hope you're both well. Dean, how you been doing? You got a spring in your step following Tuesday night's win over Chelsea?
I certainly have. I certainly have, Steve. It was a brilliant result. Fantastic for the players. They performed so well. So, yeah, very confident about today. Looking forward to the game against a difficult Wolves team. But yeah, still buzzing off that fantastic performance from the Southampton players.
And Joe, I bet you're gutted you didn't get a call up from Ralph to be part of Double Barreled Name FC.
Honestly, mate, I was about to say I was waiting by the phone, but it's probably best for everyone he didn't give me a call. But yeah, delighted to be here again and hopefully rounds off of what's been a really good week for Saints today with another big win. Because that performance from Chelsea against Chelsea on Tuesday was just, yeah, I'm still absolutely delighted with that. And then the new additions, which I know we're going to talk about. It's been a really positive few days for Southampton Football Club. So yeah, double-barreled names, they're the future, of course.
Good stuff. Well, it's great to have you both with us. Now, on the agenda today, we're going to be talking about the incomings and the outgoings over the summer. Also, that win on Tuesday night against Chelsea, and of course, our match this afternoon against Wolves. Make sure to get your comments in as well, however you're watching today, and I'll try to read out as many as possible. But let's get straight into it. Southampton did make 4 signings on transfer deadline day. You had Ainsley Maitland-Niles join from Arsenal, also Sam Edozie and Juan Larios from Man City, and also I'm gonna absolutely butcher this name, and I've practiced it so many times. Douye Shaletta Sarr from Marseille as well joined. So Joe, let's come to you first. What did you make of the new faces brought in at Saints?
Excellent additions, Steve. I think two experienced players there in Maitland-Niles and Shaletta Sarr, who are hungry to be Premier League regulars. So I think that really adds sort of extra depth to Saints' squad, which Ralph will be really pleased with. And then, of course, the two up-and-coming stars coming from Man City again. Joe Shields, he knows them so well from his time at Man City, being the head of youth recruitment there. He's obviously now in a senior role with Saints. And I think that removes a lot of the risk, right? Because he knows these players so well. And Ralph Hasenhüttl has said that. So in Larios and Edozie, they'll be looking to emulate Bazuna and Lavia. And we've already seen with those two players from Man City that have joined Saints earlier this summer, the quality is clear, right? We can all see they are sensational players. And the one thing they're lacking is experience. And Saints are going to give them that. So once again, that just underlines Saints' newfound I guess it's newfound in terms of bringing players from other Premier League teams' academies, in terms of their status as giving these players a chance to play in the Premier League week in, week out at a very early stage in their career. So, yeah, I really like the addition of Maitland-Niles in particular because I think he's so versatile. He gives Saints cover at fullback positions, out wide, and in central midfield as well, which Ralph has been talking about. And he's a player that the club have been tracking for a very long time. I think it was a few transfer windows ago that he nearly joined Saints. So I think he's hungry, the right point of his career, and it's a really good deal for him, I think, to prove himself. And as I mentioned, over the course of a season, especially this congested season, it'd be really good to have him to fill in some of those fullback areas, because that's been an issue for Saints with Tino's injury early in the season. And then Shaletta Sarr, I mean, he's a Croatian international. Looking at the clips of him on the international stage and for Marseille, very aggressive defender, loves to get on the front foot. He's a big guy. I'm sure he'd be a fan's favourite already. And he just strengthens that core, doesn't he, of Bella Kotchap and Salisu, been doing excellent as a partnership early in the season. Obviously, a few centre-backs leaving the club. You've got Lianco around. But I think with Shaletta Sarr, he kind of gives you that option to play 3 at the back as well and be tactically flexible. And also, we have to remember, it's good to have options for these young players that are in the team. As Ralph has been talking about, they can't always play week in, week out, or there's midweek games. So having that strong squad, I think, was really key. And it was a really good deadline day for me, Steve.
Now, I think we can see a list of all 10 new names that have joined Southampton across the summer. Dean, how have you, or what have you made, sorry, of the business overall that Southampton have done in the window?
I think it's been excellent, Steve. I think it really has. I think the players, the they've got the blend right, because Southampton did a lot of business early, which gave the opportunity for the manager to work on them in pre-season, and we've seen the benefits of that in terms of Lavia, Bella Kotchap. Those two in particular have been fantastic. They really, really have. And I think, we've done some business late and signed some fantastic talent. And like Joe mentioned, a couple of experienced players as well, which will really add to the squad, who are ready to play in the Premier League now. 10 new signings. I don't think that's happened for a long time at Southampton. The manager's been able to invest and spend money, not kind of looking to wheel and deal all the time. They've identified players. There's a business model at the football club now. The team is benefiting from it, as we can see in the results, but particularly in the performances as well. I'm a big believer, if you get the performances right, the results will come. And you look at it, 2 new goalkeepers have come into the squad, 2 centre-backs that both look fantastic, 2 midfield players and 3 attacking players, and lots of variety and different personalities within those signings as well. So I'm excited. I think it's been a really good and healthy transfer window for the club, and the manager has lots of options now. He really, really does. And I like the fact there's a lot of younger players that have come in that bring that enthusiasm, bring that desire, that bravery. They don't really have that fear at such a younger age, and I think that's rubbing off on some of the other players as well. So it's been a good transfer window, and credit to the players that have also left as well. You think Jack Stevens has gone on loan, Bednarek has gone out to Aston Villa, Romeu has left. Been brilliant servants for the football club, and have been really, really good and fantastic. So good luck to them, and wish them well as well. But for Southampton, I think this could be what it is, really exciting that they've made this investment and backed the manager.
Yeah, definitely. Now, on the subject of Oriol Romeu, it was a slightly sad transfer deadline day as well for many Saints fans, because Ori ended his 7 years on the south coast, moving to Girona in Spain. Joe, how would you sum up his time as a Saint?
Steve, when I heard the news, someone was definitely cutting onions nearby, because it's hard not to get emotional when you think about Romeu. And I mean, just such a great pro, right? I mean, Ralph said he's the best professional he's ever worked with. I think as a Southampton fan myself, you knew every single time he stepped onto the pitch, he was going to give everything for the shirt. And you can't really ask any more than that from a player in your team. He had quality on the ball. I mean, we're looking at it here, the League Cup final, just so wish that would have gone in, because he would have been just gone down as Saints folklore even more. But that season, he was sensational under Claude Puel. The Europa League runs just showed his extra quality. And I think he's really underrated. I mean, over the years, the amount of managers like Pep Guardiola and others who spoke so highly of him just kind of showcased what a great player he was, and just did all the dirty work in the engine room. Scored a few beautiful goals as well, as we're seeing, not his main strength, but when he could pop up and finish off a few chances. But this is what we're seeing he did best here, rattling into tackles and just setting the tone and the standards for Saints in so many displays. So, and I was lucky enough to interview him on my role with NBC on a few occasions. And, as many people were saying, great player, but an even better person. So love to see him return to the club in some kind of capacity in the future. I've already been looking up trips to Girona with some of my Saints supporting friends to see. They play in red and white. It's not too far. You can get flights from Bournemouth Airport. I've been looking into it, Steve. So it'd be great to see him get some kind of send-off in the future, come back to St Mary's. He's definitely, for the last 7 or 8 years, given absolutely everything for the club. So that was a sad one, but was happy that we got to see Romeu play in a Saints shirt, and he'll go down as one of the best servants the club has had in the Premier League era.
Definitely. And now you've got a second team, Joe, to support when you're on holiday. We were lucky enough as well to have Ori on Saints Live once, and I have to admit, yeah, he was a really nice chap to speak to. As Dean mentioned, 4 other Saints did secure moves away from the South Coast. We had Jack Stevens, Mateus Liss and Jan Bednarek all leave on loan, while Jan Valery got a permanent move away. But in his press conference, Ralph chose to reflect on Ori's time at Southampton.
I tell you very honest that we will never let him go if he didn't come to us and say he wants to, because I said, such a player you always have to keep in your club, who has done so much for you, who is so close to the fans, who has made so much positive things for this club, and with his football knowledge he has, you need to keep him in the club for what reason, for what position ever. And I'm sure that there's coming maybe one time when he's coming back here in a different position.
There's another hard-hitting question about Oriol. Did he ever manage to beat you at tennis?
No. That's the reason why he has to come back one time.
There we go, Ralph reflecting on some fond memories of Oriol Romeu at Southampton. But Ralph also said that Romeo Lavia will be out for at least 6 weeks due to a hamstring injury. How big a miss will he be, Dean?
He will be, Steve. He'll be a big miss. He's made a huge impression since he's come in. Been so impressed with him as a midfield player. He seems to have everything. It's early stages, so don't want to get too carried away. But technically, he looks very, very good on the ball. He looks like he wants to play forward, so he wants to play progressive possession. His positioning play, defense.
But then also enough players in attacking areas with Armstrong coming off the left and just supporting Shea Adams as well. So they've got lots of options, which is good. And obviously Maitland-Niles, Ralph mentioned he can also play there in midfield as well. So probably too soon for a start for Maitland-Niles. But good thing is that Saints have a lot of options now, which all this business they've done this summer has given them a really strong squad, Steve. So I'd probably go with Diallo and Ward-Prowse in the holding areas. And then there's a lot of different ways that Ralph can line up the team in that number 10 in the wide roles.
Dean, we just got a minute until the team news is in, but do you expect any changes today, or do you think it'll be the same lineup that beat Chelsea?
I think the manager's always been pretty consistent when the team has performed and got results. So I can't see too many changes, Steve. I agree with Joe. I think the 4-2-3-1 formation is really working for this group of players, and they've adapted very well to it. They're performing very, very well. And again, I agree with Joe. I think James Ward-Prowse will drop back into more of a holding position. And then it's who comes into that advanced midfield row. Aribo, Stuart Armstrong, Will Elanusi come centrally, and maybe there's another wide player that will play wide. But also you have to take into account it's the third game of the week. But I can't see too many changes. The manager believes in this group and backs the group. And if you're performing well, he generally gives you the next game to continue that form. So no, I can't see too many changes because the performance against Chelsea was so good. It's very difficult to leave anyone out now, I believe.
Well, Dean, you almost timed that perfectly because we can bring you the team news right now. There is one change from the win over Chelsea with Joe Aribo coming in for the injured Romeu Lavia, and also 3 of our new signings are on the bench today. So let's run through our starting 11. In goal is Gavin Bazunu. It's then made up of Carl Walker-Peters, Armel Bella-Kotchap, Mo Salisu and Roman Perro as the back 4. Diallo and our captain James Ward-Prowse are joined by Joe Aribo and Elian Nusi in the midfield. And then we have Shay Adams and Adam Armstrong up front. On the Southampton substitute bench, we've got McCarthy, Lianco, again our new signing Juan Larios from Man City, Musa Gineppo, Ainsley Maitland-Niles, another one of our new additions, Stuart Armstrong, Sam Adozie, Theo Walcott, and also Sekou Mara is there as well. Joe, having looked at that now, what do you make of who Ralph's picked today?
Solid, Steve. I think the team's been playing so well in that formation and that group that it's difficult to change it. Obviously, having 4 days rest from the Chelsea win probably makes it just about doable to keep the same team together, aside from Lavia. They would have had just enough time to recover from that big midweek win against Chelsea. So I like it. Continuity, partnership, Salisu, Bella-Kotchap. Obviously, it's centre-back. And as I said, Diallo and Ward-Prowse there, midfield. That makes sense to just slot Ward-Prowse back slightly. And then in attack, Adams and Armstrong and now those guys have been playing really well as a trio in terms of how they've been rotating and the different strengths that they have and how that gels as a unit. So yeah, I love the lineup. I think it is going to be a lot of subs, I think, around maybe the 60-minute mark if they play with high intensity. I think that's what Ralph will look to do and use all 5 subs and utilize that as early as possible. So a lot of strength on the bench, which is great to see too.
Yeah, Dean, we knew that Romeu Lavia was going to be out and he would be replaced in some form. You may be surprised to see 3 of those 4 new faces on the bench, especially the 2 youngsters from Man City.
No, not surprised, Steve. I think it's. I didn't expect them to come into the team. It's always good to have fresh faces within the group. They bring that extra competition, that extra enthusiasm, and if they get the opportunity off the bench, they want to make an impression. So I can see that it's pretty sensible, and you want to include them straight away, whether that's the experience of being around the group, experience of the match day as a Southampton player, and give them minutes as quickly as you possibly can. I'm sure the manager, like Joe mentioned there, will be looking to introduce them at some point, whether Southampton are winning or they need to get back into the game and try and win the game. He has those options on the bench, but good selection from the manager. Like to see that continuity, like to see the relationships building, the team's performing very, very well. Just be interesting to see where Aribo plays, if he does play centrally or he plays on the right and Elanusi potentially comes centrally. So, but I'm sure there's lots of rotation. I think that's why that's been really effective for Southampton of late. The flexibility and the rotation within those attacking players has caused the opposition lots of problems of late. So looking forward to watching that again.
Yeah, we're all looking forward to the game today. But now it's time to get some views from the Southampton fans watching from around the globe and at home. Lee Martin says he thinks it's going to be a tough game today, but would take the draw. Yonis has got in touch on Facebook and said, come on, you Saints. We need to keep that winning mentality. Ryan Ackland says he thinks it's going to be 2-0 to Southampton today and a goal and an assist from Joe Aribo. Peter says 1-0 with Adam Armstrong getting the winner. Jeffrey Bennett says, come on, Saint Army. What else have we got here? We've got Mitch Red, who says, come on, you Reds, and he's watching from New Zealand. It's a 2 a.m. kickoff time. Well, thank you very much for staying up and not going to bed, Mitch. Also, English Zidane said, great signings and good business this summer. Make sure to keep those comments coming in throughout Saints Live today. Dean, we'll stick with you here. Looking back to that win against Chelsea on Tuesday, do you think it was deserved?
Yes, Steve, totally. And the performance was so good from the players because they had to react from that disappointment of going a goal down against one of the best teams in the division. Chelsea were far better in the first 15 to 20 minutes, but a brilliant goal from Lavia, and then a fantastic goal from Adam Armstrong. It was just a really, really good, positive performance from Southampton and showed real belief in what they were trying to do. They outran Chelsea. They outfought Chelsea. And they just technically were better than Chelsea on the night, which was fantastic. And it was great to watch as a fan. The goal from Adam Armstrong, so pleased for him because he worked so hard for the team, but opportunities in the second half as well. Elenous's header, really, really unfortunate. Salisu's header from the corner where Silva clears in. I still don't know how he done it. That just shows the class in the player in him. But the intensity that Southampton played with was really impressive. But I love the belief in this team and the confidence, because so many times this season they've come from behind, and that's a real strong mentality where we didn't see that last year. Almost Southampton needed to go ahead to be able to win a game. It's the opposite. So there's a togetherness and a fully deserved victory against Chelsea. I'm sure they'll take that confidence into today's game against Wolves.
Now, Joe, we've addressed that Romeu Lavia is going to be out for a little while, and Dean spoke about his goal earlier, and what a strike it was to get off the mark for Southampton.
Incredible way to score your first Premier League goal, Steve. I mean, afterwards he was kind of laughing and joking and saying he doesn't even score goals like this in training, and it's kind of alien to him. But wow, if he doesn't score goals like that in training, then he can just keep doing that in the actual games. I mean, incredible strike. And I love that he knows exactly where he's going to place this. He has a bit of time to think about this. Good first touch out of his feet. And then just a lot of players would smash this, right, and get underneath it, go over the bar. But very controlled the way he whips it into the far bottom corner. Just uses the Chelsea defender there, Mason Mount, as a shield. And Mendy's got no chance because it's just perfectly placed from Lavia. So you can see his reaction there, how much it meant to him. His family were there at the stadium, which obviously meant a lot to him as well. And he's already a fan's favourite. I know he's out injured for a little while, but, you know, he has so much quality on the ball that actually means he could score a lot more goals like this from set-piece situations. If you see him just kind of drifting around the edge of the box, waiting for the ball to come loose and second balls, he's shown there that he can finish off. And we've seen in the run of play, he can get on the ball, turn it, great distribution. And maybe just a bit further forward in those set piece areas, he can have a lot more joy this season. So what a great start for him. Obviously disappointing he's going to be out injured for a while, but Dean mentioned it earlier. Probably be okay for him, just have a bit of a rest, kind of regroup. And then, like Ralph has been saying during the week, maybe it was just a little bit too much physicality-wise for these young players. But now they know that. Ralph's really good at looking after the young players usually. He did it a lot with Tino at the start of last season, bringing him in and out of the team. But Lavia is already one of the first names on the team sheet for Saints, not for his goal-scoring ability, but because of what he does in midfield. But if you can add goals to that as well, Steve, what a player we have in our hands.
Yeah, we certainly do. Now, our second goal scorer against Chelsea was Adam Armstrong. He starts again today, but it's the first time he's netted since November, Dean. How big a relief will that be for him?
Yeah, it will do him the world of good, Steve, because he's a goal scorer. I'm sure he judges himself on his goals as well. And he took it very, very well. He took it like a confident goal scorer who scored 4 or 5 already this season, but it's all about the touch. And if you watch the goal, there's about 3 or 4 different movements from him. He tries to get him behind once, then he's patient, tries to get him behind again, he's patient, changes his position, and then just kind of stands still and drifts out to the penalty box where you'd expect, the defenders expect him to go across the front post. Brilliant pass from Pero, I thought was fantastic on the night as well. But the change of formation and the change of system for Adam has seemed to work for him. I think he's getting more touches of the ball, which means he's constantly involved in the game, which I think helps him. He's getting into position in goal-scoring positions, not necessarily where he's trying to run in behind and he's ending up wide. He's starting wide and being able to actually come centrally, which means he gets more chances at goal, which means he can get into the box more. So he's playing with a bit more freedom. So I'm sure it would do, there's a bit of relief, but as I've said before, I don't think his confidence has really been dented. It looks like it doesn't really affect him that much. And one thing that I've been impressed with as well, his work rate is fantastic. He really helps the fullback out. He helps his teammates out. And I love seeing him running with the ball as well. So he's been very, very good. And I'm sure now he's got that one, he'll be looking to add to that as quickly as he possibly can.
Yeah, now let's focus on our opponents today. Wolves, draw specialists in their last few games, Joe. How can Southampton exploit them today?
Steve, well, it's really interesting. Wolves watched them a lot this season, and it's been a really tough start for them in terms of results. But, you know, with no win in the opening 5 games, they've been very frustrated, haven't won any of their last 12 Premier League games dating back to last season. So confidence has been an issue for Wolves. But that said, they should have won against Newcastle, pushed Spurs all the way away from home. Were unlucky against Bournemouth in midweek. And it's going to be tough. Saints have had some really good battles with Wolves, especially at Molineux over the last few seasons. Always really tight, quite gritty, dominant. And I think you have to win that midfield battle with them, right? With the quality they have in that area with Moutinho, with Neves and Nunez starting today. I mean, these are big-time players, Portuguese internationals, and they make everything tick for Wolves. They seem to dominate possession in most games. So it's just about putting chances away for Wolves. That's been their main issue. Defensively, they're right up there with one of the best defensive teams in the Premier League. But Bruno Lage just can't get that balance right in attack. So it's really interesting today that they've dropped Raul Jimenez, the new signing, the Austrian international. Kalajdzic, I believe is how you pronounce it. Ralph actually gave a masterclass in how to pronounce that in midweek. He's up top. Daniel Podence comes in as well, quality player, and Pedro Neto. So I think Wolves will look to dictate the tempo, and the fact that they're at home, and like I said, they've started the season on this really long run without a win dating back to last season as well. They're under pressure a bit. Bruno Lage was a bit spiky in his press conferences before this game, saying, we always start slow. What are you worried about? But there is some concern there. So I think that will force them to come out on the front foot, have a go at Saints. And then it's all about the counter-attack. I think Saints, if they can soak up the pressure, be defensively solid like we've seen them, then getting the ball out to Armstrong and Shea Adams and getting it forward directly as quick as possible, I think they're going to have some joy. We saw Newcastle succeed against Wolves by doing that and grabbing a point and nearly winning at the end. So not a bad time to play Wolves, I would say. They're kind of at a real low confidence-wise, but they've been tricky for Saints over the last few seasons, and they have quality. They're a really strange team. When you look on paper and their performances, they should be higher up the table. But right now, things just aren't falling for them. So hopefully Saints can take advantage of that today at Molineux.
Yeah, as Joe highlights, that winless streak does go back, and they're in the bottom three at the moment in the league, Dean. Is that a surprise for you?
Yes. I didn't identify Wolves as a team that would be near the relegation, even though we're early on in the season, so it's difficult to judge. But I am surprised. But also, I've looked at their results, and they're not conceding goals like Joe said. They're defensively very, very good. They have a lot of possession of the ball. They create a lot of chances. Where they're falling down, Steve, is they're not converting those chances. So they're not far off. They're a very, very good team. They're very, very capable. They were very good against Newcastle. They're unbeaten at home in their two games. But they're just failing to take those chances because they have some excellent players. They really, really do. They've relied heavily on Jimenez over the past, and he's not quite been able to get back to his best and produce that goal-scoring threat. And it's very difficult when you haven't got a striker that's scoring a lot of goals. Unless you're spreading the goals around the team, which Wolves really don't, it's difficult to win games. But I'm not too alarmed because I've watched them and their performances have been very, very good. They pushed Tottenham all the way, and Tottenham are an excellent team, which we've seen in the Southampton game. They were good against Newcastle. I think they've kept 2 clean sheets already this season as well, but they've only scored 2 goals. So this is going to be it's going to be a difficult game for Southampton today because Wolves will be looking to respond. They really will, and they'll be looking to get their first win for the season. But they will be a little bit vulnerable because the fans are quite demanding at Wolves. And if it's not happening and they're not scoring goals and they're not quite being entertained how they want, they can turn reasonably quickly. So Southampton could take advantage of that today. So I think Wolves will be fine, but they just need to find that little touch to score a few more goals this season.
Good stuff. Well, before we come to you for your final thoughts and indeed your score predictions, we'll give one last few words to the fans watching from around the globe. Keith C says he's watching from Brisbane in Australia and thinks it's going to be 3-0 to Southampton today. We also have Lithernick92 who says good morning from the Big Easy, which is New Orleans. I've been there myself, great city. Also St. Paris says come on you Reds. Howard Smith on Facebook says Southampton are going to win. Callum Witcher Solskjaer. 3 points would be mega. Come on, you Saints. Michael Stretch says, first a thank you to Oriol, and Saints will win 2-1. Vicknell, watching on YouTube, says, Bella Kotchap has been immense, massively improved our back line. David Pugh, this will be a tough test, but the new additions will make a difference. He thinks it's going to be a tight 1-0 win with Shea Adams to score. And then a final one for James Caps, says the squad is looking strong. Let's just do one more. Chris Went says, hola from sunny Spain. He loves the show. Thank you very much, Chris. And he's hoping for a Saints clean sheet and an away win. So yeah, thank you for everyone who's got in touch on Saints Live today. Joe, what do you think the result is going to be today? What's your score prediction?
Like you said, Wolves are the draw specialists, right? But I'm going to be confident. I think Saints can nick this. I think 2-1. I'm going to go. It worked for me in midweek against Chelsea, so I'm going to go for another 2-1 win. I think we'd love to see a clean sheet, and that's the one area where Saints just can take that next step and haven't had a clean sheet yet this season. But yeah, I think the fact that Wolves are so desperate for a win and will go all out will actually play into Southampton's hands, and the confident mood that all the players are in right now, I think Saints are due a win at Wolves. So a 2-1 win for me, Steve.
And Dean, the fans are obviously predicting a win, but saying it's going to be a tough test today. Do you think the same? What's your score prediction?
I think it will be a challenge today. I really do. Wolves are a good team, even though they're sitting third bottom. But I think from Southampton's perspective, if defensively we can be strong today, and we, like Joe's just said, if we can get that clean sheet, I think Southampton win this game. So defensively, if we can be disciplined like we have, frustrate Wolves, and then be very, very powerful on the counter-attack, I believe Southampton can win this. So I'm going to go for a 1-0 Southampton win today.
Okay, 2-1 and 1-0. Well, Dean and Joe, thank you so much for joining me again this afternoon. We'll speak to you soon. Just 45 minutes to go until kick-off at Molineux between Wolves and Southampton. Winless Wolves hoping to kick-start their league campaign, while Southampton will be hoping to build on a positive month of August in the Premier League. Do join us, all three of us as well, after the match on the final whistle for all the post-match reaction and analysis. Enjoy the game, and we'll see you then.